Boost your brain power with our brain-boosting blueberry muffins. These muffins aren't just delicious, they're made with lactose-free milk, making them perfect for anyone with lactose intolerance. Packed with blueberries and walnuts, they're a wholesome, nutritious treat that supports cognitive health while satisfying your taste buds. Tick, 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 Jay.
Tick, tick. You know what, Pali? I'm so glad I don't suffer with food allergies or an intolerance to anything. But my sweetheart does. And cramps, indigestion, the bloating, it's really a pain. And he loves dairy. He loves dairy, he loves yogurt, he loves milk. And just by incorporating the no-lac milk and the no-lac yogurt has made all the difference. And that's why we're doing this in the recipe.
So tell us, if I were to elevate our Clover no-lac and make muffins, how do I do that?
So we're going to start off with our dry ingredients. And I've chosen this particular recipe because I find that muffins are so forgiving. You know, we're talking about brain health and all that goodness today. And this is also such a forgiving, quick and easy recipe to make sure that you're having all those nutrients first thing in the morning without any fuss.
I love it.
So we start with some whole wheat flour. We've got some almond flour. So again, adding fiber to this recipe, which obviously is good for the brain. We're going to go with some spices here. We've got some cinnamon, our raising agents, bicarb and baking powder.
And friend, you know, I know this might sound weird working on a show that we cook all the time, but the difference between baking powder and bicarb, what is it and how do both kind of impact the recipe?
So you'll see in our recipe, we've got a couple of other ingredients. We've got, of course, the clover no-lac, which is going to react with the bicarb to give it a rise. And baking powder does the same thing, but they do it at different levels. Okay. So it gives you a nice, even rise on your muffin.
Beautiful.
And again, it also just depends on the altitude that you're at. It's a complete science, so we won't get into that.
Baking is a science, but let us keep it simple here. So we've added our dry ingredients, and then?
And then we're going to start with our wet ingredients. And of course, we're using the no-lac, clover no-lac. What I love is that how accessible they've made dairy with this easy-to-digest milk. It tastes exactly the same, so you wouldn't know the difference. And it's a great alternative to use in baking, in your coffee in the morning. It's so easy to just make the change.
Yes.
You know, so if you're someone out there who suffers with a lactose intolerance, it's a great alternative. And of course, a great source of calcium and vitamin D. You're getting the same goodness of dairy without that bloating and all those cramps.
The uncomfortability that sits in your stomach. Okay, so now as we are putting together our wet ingredients, you've already gone in with your clover no-lac. I see you've got an entire egg in there.
We've got an egg in there. Also, again, the addition of extra protein into this recipe.
You've got vanilla essence. Was that honey that I also saw going?
So this is actually maple syrup.
Oh, wow.
You can give that a smell. It's a really great ingredient that I love to use in baking as an alternative to more refined sugars.
It says breakfast.
It says breakfast, and this recipe is so forgiving that you can actually omit that completely and still get a decent, edible, delicious muffin, which is what makes this recipe so great.
Lovely.
Great, so now we're going to just simply add our wet ingredients into the dry.
Now, Chef, I always see us making a well before we put our wet ingredients. Is that necessary in this recipe?
Not necessary. You know, when it comes to muffins and cupcakes, and it's something that I've actually tested, if you have a few lumps along the way, it actually calls for a more moist product.
Okay.
So obviously you don't want big clumps of flour, so be mindful of that. But if you have a few lumps along the way, not a problem.
It's okay.
It's okay. You know, if you have the time, then be meticulous about it. But that's why we've chosen this particular recipe, because it is easy, you know? And muffins, breakfast shouldn't be a challenge. It shouldn't be a hassle, you know? So we've just folded in some blueberries, some extra nuts for more fiber, more roughage as well. And we're going to give that a stir. And then we're going to put it into our cupcake liners, and then into the oven at 180 degrees for about 20 minutes. And you can enjoy a beautiful, delicious muffin without the discomfort.
And I also love the fact that this is echoing what Z was speaking about earlier, getting the fiber in daily that you need and that extra bit of roughage. And if you would like in on this recipe, please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za and you'll get the ingredients and how to whip this up.